All right, let's get right into it. We are talking about Philip K. Dick's masterpiece, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? This is the novel that really forces you to ask some heavy questions about life, about empathy, and what it even means to be human when the fakes are almost perfect.
So, the book kicks off, and it's not with a sunrise or an alarm clock. It's with a dial a mood. I mean, from the very first sentence, you know you're in a world where feelings aren't just something you have, they're something you program. Want to feel happy? There's a setting for that. Need to be professional for work? Just dial it in. And this leads us to our main guy, Rick Deckard. He's a bounty hunter, and he's living in this kind of grim, post-apocalyptic San Francisco that's just choked with radioactive dust. But his job is only half the story. The other half, it's all about this desperate climb up the social ladder. See, in this future, most of Earth's animals are gone, so owning a real live animal, that's the ultimate status symbol. It's not just about wealth, it's proof that you have empathy, that you're a good person. And this is Deckard's biggest secret, his constant source of shame. The sheep he has on his roof, it's just an incredibly expensive electric replica. And that right there is the key to his motivation. He hunts down and retires androids, not just because it's his job, but for the bounty money. Every android he takes down gets him one step closer to his real dream, buying a living, breathing animal and getting rid of that fake sheep for good.
Now, while Deckard's on his quest, we get this whole other perspective from a guy named J.R. Isidore. The radioactive dust has damaged his mind, so the government labels him a special, or cruelly, a chickenhead. He's one of the people left behind on Earth, all alone in this massive, practically abandoned apartment building.
Isidore's world is just crushingly lonely. His only real human connection comes from this weird device called an empathy box. It's this machine that lets him kind of merge his consciousness with everyone else using it at the same time. It's a completely artificial way to feel like you belong. So, back to Deckard. His whole world is about to get turned upside down. He gets a new assignment: hunt down and retire a group of the newest, most sophisticated androids ever made, the Nexus 6 models. And this job is going to push him to the absolute limit. So what's his main weapon in this fight? It's not a gun, it's this thing, the Voight-Kampff test. The whole test is built on one single idea. Androids can be smart, they can learn, they can even pretend to have feelings, but what they can't do is feel real biological empathy, that gut reaction. That's supposed to be the one thing that separates us from them. And his very first test perfectly shows the problem. He tests this woman, Rachel Rosen, from the company that literally builds the androids. He asks her these questions, and her answers are perfect. She sounds horrified, but the machine, which is tracking tiny little things like eye muscle contractions, it shows nothing. Just a flat line. Cold.
And that's really the heart of it all, isn't it? The test is looking for the gap between a real biological reaction and a perfectly calculated performance. A human can't help it, our bodies react. An android, no matter how good it is just running a program. It's the difference between truly feeling something and just computing the correct response.
So Deckard has to break through her programming. He asks her this absolutely monstrous question about her briefcase. And what gives her away isn't her gasp of horror, it's the delay. Just for a fraction of a second, her brain has to process the data, search for the appropriate reaction, and then perform it. A real human response would have been instant. And just like that, he knows. Okay, so with Rachel confirmed as an android, Deckard starts hunting the others. But the second he steps into their world, that nice, clean line he's always relied on, the one between human and machine, between what's real and what's fake, it just starts to completely fall apart. I mean, things go sideways almost immediately. He's ambushed by an android disguised as a fellow cop. Then one of his targets, an opera singer, turns the tables and demands to know if he's human. And then it gets totally surreal. He's arrested and brought to a police station, a fully staffed, fully operational police station that he's never heard of. And it turns out the whole place is run by androids. The android posing as Inspector Garland just lays it all out for him. They've built their own secret, parallel society, hiding right under the humans' noses, a perfect copy of the very system that's supposed to be hunting them. And this is just Deckard's worst nightmare come to life. I mean, think about it. If the authorities can be fakes, and he, the expert hunter, can be tricked into working for them, what part of his reality can he even trust anymore? Who's really pulling the strings here? Now, let's jump back over to J.R. Isidore. While Deckard's world is literally falling apart,
Isidore, in his quiet apartment, is about to find the one thing he's always wanted: company. He becomes the unwitting host for the very androids that Deckard is trying to kill.
So to really get Isidore, you have to understand this thing called Mercerism. It's basically the main religion. People grab onto these empathy boxes, and they all share in this vision of an old man named Wilbur Mercer, who's endlessly climbing a hill while people throw rocks at him. You feel his pain, you feel the rocks. It's how their whole society creates a sense of community.
But then, the most famous TV personality in the world, a guy named Buster Friendly, who, surprise, is also an android, goes on air and drops a bombshell. He proves Mercerism is a total fake. Mercer is just some old actor on a forgotten movie set. It's a calculated attack on the one thing holding human society together.
For Isidore, though, the real gut punch is much more personal. He finds a spider in his apartment, a real, living spider, which is incredibly rare and precious. He's so excited. But the androids he's hiding, his new friends, they just look at it with this cold curiosity, and then they start cutting its legs off, one by one. And in that one awful moment, Isidore sees it. He sees the absolute emptiness inside them.
And that brings us back to Deckard, closing in on the last of the androids. But he's not the same man he was when he started. His own empathy, the very thing he uses as a weapon, has now become a huge liability. It's making him doubt everything about his job.
Before he goes after the final group, he sleeps with Rachel Rosen. This act just completely shatters his professional and emotional distance. But for Rachel, it's a cold transaction. As revenge for him continuing the hunt, she finds the real goat he finally bought with his bounty money, and she shoves it right off the roof of his building.
So Deckard finishes the job. He retires the last of them. But there's no sense of victory. He just feels hollow. He flies his hover car out into the desert and just starts walking, climbing a hill, feeling phantom rocks hitting him. He's living out the fake religion of Mercerism all by himself, as his own private, painful truth.
And out there, on the hill, he finds a toad, a species everyone thought was extinct. For a second, it's this moment of pure grace, a sign of real life returning. He carefully takes it home, only for his wife to find the control panel on its belly. It's a fake too, but instead of being crushed, Deckard has this weird moment of clarity, almost acceptance.
And that's really the question the book just leaves you with, hanging in the air. In a world where your emotions can be dialed in, where animals are machines, where even your gods are just old actors, what's left? What does it even mean for something to be real?